Coming up soon, Chris and Stu will bring you all the latest in boxing, MMA and combat sports from around the globe. It's powered for TV's powerhouse, Big Fight Weekly, 100% live. Here's some of the best clips of Big Fight Weekly from 2021.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is episode 2 of Powered 4 TV Big Fight Weekly. We cover it fast, quick, boxing, MMA, quicker than Phileas Fogg around the world in a hot air balloon, Chris. And here is my co-host, Chris Hume. How are you, Chris?
Steve Coogan. Yeah, not bad. That's great, yeah.
Big Fight Weekly, faster than a Lyoto Machida crane kick to the face, Chris.
Which one? Belfort or Randy Couture's?
They were both equally good, mate. I was probably gearing towards Couture, but you know he was aging as a fighter. Welcome. It's episode 4 of Powered 4 TV Big Fight Weekly with myself, Stuart Palmer, and my co-host, my cousin, Chris Hume, and we're going to give you a deep dive in boxing and UFC and MMA this week again. God, I couldn't get my words out then, could I? Christ alive. And I tell you what, I'll just get it in there now before I forget, quicker than a Kamaru Usman takedown.
A double leg.
In a few moments, we'll be live in the studio with Chris and Stu.
This is Liam McGarry, and welcome to the Big Fight Weekly.
But yeah, I mean, like, so, I worked in construction, mate. Like, the recession kicked in and everything stopped. I was delivering TVs for this company, Fortuna, and it was crap, you know what I mean? But at least I wasn't so tired, so I could finish work quickly and then go to the gym, train for about 5-6 hours, and then go home, you know? So yeah, it was just a timing thing, and also, I guess it was the right time for me to go forward and pursue this fight career.
Yo. This is Stephen USSR Robinson on Powered4.tv, Big Fight Weekly, for a special fight at Focus with Chris and Stu. Tune in. Boom!
And the whole USSR thing was, I think it was just a gimmick where we thought, right, you know, turn pro now, let's go off the back of the red and yellow, the Ivan Drago shorts, you know, Rocky wasn't sensational hit. And I've been called it now for sort of 6 years within boxing, so we just decided to go along with it and you know give it a go and see how it went. And it's worked well.
Yeah, but you do look like him though, so you can't get away from that though. Right, yeah.
I'm trying to look for a photo of me real dad just to show you I look not where my man must have been at a Comic Con back in 1990.
Where's Dolph Lundgren, yeah.
Brilliant.
He can throw a few punches here and there and not have that worry that someone's going to take him down, because you don't want to be, you know, you don't want to be on top of him, or you don't want him on your back, because you know he's like an anaconda, and you know what I mean, he'll find a way to submit you. And like I say, he's one of the best in the UFC with jiu-jitsu, and I think he's got most wins in UFC with submissions as well. It's an interesting fight, and it is really like a tale of you know, Dustin Poirier's cardio, Dustin Poirier's heart, you know, all that shit he had to go through with Conor McGregor. You know, he silenced Conor McGregor, let's just say, in the last 2 fights, completely showed his heart, his desire, you know.
And even Chael Sonnen has chimed in this week as well. He's going for Woodley to win this. How do you see it going, Chris?
Well, personally, I wouldn't go off what Chael Sonnen says, mate, because Chael Sonnen's record when it comes to prediction, he gets it terribly wrong.
Somebody said that all over. Yeah, I'm with Chael on this one, you know. But yeah.
I just think he gets it wrong all the time.
So I'm Dave Faulkner, two-time World Submission Wrestling Champion, Tough 9 participant, World MMA Champion, and this is Big Fight Weekly.
Well, 4 people had staff on the show at once, and it was very close for the whole show to get closed down. But then they brought in this ginger girl who was like a life coach, and she was she told us to use PMA, positive mental attitude, and she said and I'll quote, she said, "If you tell yourself you ain't got staff, then you ain't got staff." And two of the American kids, get on this though, 2 of the American guys who had staff, we were going, yeah, I totally believe that, man. I totally believe it. They actually didn't have staff after 4 days or something. So it must work.
Hey guys, this is Jake Cross, President of UK Fighting Championships and owner of Empire Grappling. You are now tuning in to the Big Fight Weekly.
I can lean on them and they can lean on me, whereas Empire is just me, and I have a really bad tendency not to delegate. I like to control too much, and that's not because I'm a control freak, because if you're going to do it right, do it yourself, and that's sort of, I just like live by that, and that's why it's getting to the point now where Empire's an animal. I have probably 60 staff on the day, which I can start to sort of lean on and delegate, but it all still comes back down to me. If there's a problem, it's there for me to fix.
You're like the younger version of Vince McMahon or Dana White, Jay.
Do you want to be referred to as the English Dana White? I've been referred to as the English Eddie, or the new breed of Eddie Hearn, which I would, if I make even 1% of what they've made, or even their success, I'll take that.
Hi guys, Dazn Thomas, professional MMA fighter, also ex-professional boxer. Make sure you tune in to Big Fight Weekly this week. Awesome podcast, get involved.
Talking boxing, I'm going to say Marco Antonio Barrera. I used to love Ricky Hatton at the time because I was a big British boxing fan. And if I'm talking MMA, then I'm going to go with Chuck Liddell because he's the person who made me switch my boxing to MMA, and I just fell in love with the sport from then. Chuck Liddell when he fought Tito Ortiz, and then I was just, from then on, it was no looking back, and that was a long time ago. I started MMA when I was 31, so it's like I started late in my career, so I needed to get a move on. So yeah, I couldn't wait around too much to see what was going on there, so I just moved on and got a few more fights, and then got HD management to sign me up on a management team, and then they looked after me from there. They got me all the fights, so I had some good management team.
This is your boy Chili Willie, ECW original, everybody's favorite homeboy, and yo, you need to check out the Big Fight Weekly.
Who does tougher training
on the body? Wrestlers, boxers, or MMA fighters? That's a good question. That is.
That is
Chili.
really a good question. That's huge, man. Wow, I would probably say MMA fighters, just because they have to not just deal with their hands and their feet, but they have to deal with the wrestling, the grappling.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a good long ride, hasn't it? We've had some absolutely fantastic fights, along the way since we started the show. You've got to jump out and say Brett Thomas and his constant Jake and Logan Paul, comments for the whole almost 12 months of us doing this. So there's been some sure good highlights.
Thank you to all the guests that have come on as well. We've had a few of them, and we've tried to mix it up. It wasn't just about reviewing, previewing. We've tried to mix it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for all the latest fight action. Direct from Wales in the United Kingdom, 100% live, it's Big Fight Weekly with your hosts Chris Hume and Stu Palmer.
I look into the mirror and all I see is failure staring back at me.
Welcome. It is episode episode 45 of Powerful.tv Big Fight Weekly with myself, Stuart Palmer, and my co-host and cousin Chris Hume. How are we, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Excited for this weekend as well. Some major fights going down.
Absolutely, absolutely. We will be on to the boxing later. There's been some developments with Fury and Mr. White. But first and foremost, the order of business we will begin with this week is UFC 271, headlined by Adesanya and Whittaker, the second bout between the two, Chris, for the middleweight world championship. Chris, Adesanya 21-1, Whittaker 24-5. Whittaker has turned around and said he's re-energized, Chris, but do you see the same outcome as the first fight?
I don't think it's going to be as clear as a finish, I think, as the first one. Obviously, Adesanya caught him, didn't he? He was loading up with that left hook when Whittaker was coming in, because Whittaker was quite sort of frantic, wasn't he, in the first fight? And he got caught a few times with that hook when he came in, where Adesanya went low, then went high, and then obviously he caught him in, I think it was the second round, wasn't it? And he caught him and finished him with that. I don't think it's going to go as easy as that. I think Whittaker has improved massively. Obviously, Adesanya has improved massively as well, and he's obviously improved more on his takedown defense. Okay, Blachowicz fight was a bit of a blip for him, but he did go up a weight division. Didn't really put much weight on, to take on Jan Blachowicz. But we look at Izzy going back down to 185. He's the champion. He's the king of the division. He's just recently beat Vettori, who had a fantastic fight against Paulo Costa at 205. Many months ago. But going back to Robert Whittaker. Look at the people he's beaten since losing to Izzy. He beat Darren Till, he's beat Jared Cannonier, Kelvin Gastelum. Makes you wonder, how many fights did it? No, sorry, say that again. Why did it take so many fights to get Whittaker back into the picture when realistically, I would have said after he beat Cannonier, he should have been number one, not Vettori, because Vettori was coming off beating Kevin Holland, wasn't he? And if you look at two comparisons, Jared Cannonier is a bigger and better fighter than current Kevin Holland, but it happened. But regardless of going towards the fight, I think it's going to be a lot more technical. I don't think you're going to see Whittaker be as frantic and emotional, because he said in the countdown he was emotional in the first fight. Somehow it turned into New Zealand versus Australia, and I suppose if you're passionate about your country, you get involved, don't you, and you fall into that trap. And Izzy is very good at getting you into that trap and getting in your head and making things difficult for you before you even touch gloves. I'm excited, though, because I think this fight's going to be a blast. Co-main event as well, Stuart. That's also going to be a rocket.
And it's in the man's hometown of Houston. Obviously, we're alluding to Derrick Lewis, which we will get into next, Chris. On the odds for this one, Chris, I've got the Vegas numbers. I've got the American-style odds, because we always have that on UFC, on the live events, don't we? -270 favourite Adesanya, Whittaker +230. So we've seen wider odds, haven't we?
Yeah,
my word, we've seen 2,000 plus 2,000 minus 1,000 before now.
Yeah.
Does it, to you, do you think it will be closer? Could you see it go in the distance this time? If Whittaker plays it right and he's a bit more logical in his thinking.
I definitely think it could go it could go all the way. I think that they both have got so much better since they first fought. I think obviously now, I can't remember the Australian boxing coach that Robbie Whittaker's brought in, but a legend apparently. I can't remember his name. If I knew it, I think you would know it yourself.
I'm not 100% to be honest.
But he's working on his boxing, but he also obviously said he's going to mix it up, go for the takedowns as well. Be less frantic, be a bit more technical. Listen to his game plan, and set things up. On the other hand, Stuart, it's facing someone like Israel Adesanya, who is also very good at his game plan, setting things up, setting traps up. People he's fought fall into these traps. Striking with someone who's an elite kickboxer it's very difficult anyway. Whittaker's going to have to get inside Adesanya if he can't take him down and really do his damage at the inside, because he can't be on the outside fighting Izzy, because Izzy's going to pick him off with leg kicks constantly.
Absolutely. We know the ability. We know the ability where that's concerned. It's elite level, isn't it, with the kicks? Yeah,
massively.
So, yeah, it's a puzzle. It's a puzzle once again. But as you say, if he just if he stays calm in there, which he is calm anyway. But I can see it. I don't think it'll be a second round stoppage, this one.
No, I don't.
I'm still thinking I'm going with Izzy, mate. I not knocking Robert Whittaker. He's fantastic, Chris. He's been superb. And he, if Izzy wasn't there, he would be the top man, wouldn't he, in the division? But it's Izzy's there. And Robert Whittaker is elite as well. But it's just a shame Izzy's there at the same time. So yeah, Chris, I'm going to put it to you, a prediction. Give us a prediction, mate.
I feel like, I think Robert Whittaker can win a few rounds. I think he can steal a few. I think if you look back to their very first fight, some people might disagree, but again, this is my opinion. I thought he won the first round in their very first fight. If you watched it, as much as he was frantic, he was landing those big shots. But obviously, the beret of shots that Izzy was hitting him obviously outlasted that. I feel like, I think if I'm pushed to the decision, I'll go to a 4-1 unanimous decision victory to Izzy. But you could see a knockout or a technical knockout. You could see either one, because it's so... the sort of styles of the fights, it really could just explode. And, Izzy could catch him again. I'll put this one back to you now, actually. I've got a question. If Robert Whittaker loses this, who else in that division is good enough to take that belt from Adesanya?
I don't mean there is, Chris. They're just not. He's beaten Vettori. I'm just trying to think here. It's levels, isn't it? And they're world class. As I've said to you before, all them guys in that top 10, top 15 and around that area, world class. But then you've got elite level, haven't you? I always term it like that, where guys can just find a way against the world class. And world class is world class. World class is permanent, but it's just levels above again, isn't it? It's just crazy. Yeah. It's just crazy. No one out of these. I don't think anyone can, become champion.
Izzy's come out and said he wants to fight 4 times this year.
Can that be done, Chris? Can he do? Is 4 a bit of a mountain? We've seen have we seen 3? I don't even know. Have we seen 3?
Usman did 3. Usman did 3 last year, didn't he?
3's always a decent barometer, isn't it? If it's like once every 4 months within the calendar year. I think 4's a tall order. You could never dispute Izzy. If he's saying he can do it and he can stay fit, Chris, and there's no injuries.
And it's finding the fighters as well, to sort of match him up with. Romero's just popped one in, Stuart.
Hello, Ramel. I'm going a close match in the 1 to 3 rounds, but Izzy might KO him in the 4th. So Ramel's going for a 4th round KO. Everybody, get your comments in as well.
Yeah.
If you're into UFC, because it's a huge card, it's world title fight. Get your comments in. How do you think it's going to go? What are your predictions for the fight? Because it's going to be fantastic. I'm just hoping we get a 5-rounder, Chris. And if Whittaker can get a few rounds, you never know.
I think he can. I just think, he's gotten better, hasn't he? But like I say, Izzy's gotten better as well. So it's like, Robert Whittaker gets one foot on the ladder, and then, Izzy's another foot ahead of him. It's going to be interesting, and I think it's a good challenge for either of them to see which way their paths go. Because obviously, if Robert Whittaker loses this, I can't see him putting a 3rd fight on, but he's going to beat everybody else below him, isn't he?
Absolutely.
And for Izzy, he beats Robert Whittaker. He's pretty much beating everybody already. So it's going to be, other than obviously Darren Tills and the Jared Cannoniers, he's just pretty much going to have the rematch in that division, unless he goes back up again.
If you're Robert Whittaker, it's that age-old saying, isn't it? You're in between a rock and a hard place because Izzy's there. It's just, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Any other time in that division, he is kingpin. But
he would have been.
Does Izzy flirt with light heavyweights again, or do you think he realised no after losing to Jan Blachowicz?
I think he will. I think eventually, somewhere down the line, I think he's probably going to do a few more rematches. Sort of cement his sort of legendary status at middleweight. Obviously he's got to go against Anderson Silva stats, and they're not exactly the most easiest ones to sort of catch up with. But he's young enough to catch up with certain stats of Anderson Silva. But regards to going to 205, yeah, I can certainly see him do it. But if he's going to do it, he's going to do it properly this time and put that muscle mass on. And work harder, because obviously in the Blachowicz fight, he didn't put the muscle mass on. He was a lot smaller, and not being like the height wise, but body weight, he looked a lot smaller. And bigger guys at 205 are obviously going to see how Jan Blachowicz sort of dealt with him and pretty much do the same, because you're not really wanting to strike for strike. But again, they hit harder at 205 as well. So I think eventually, I think maybe a couple of more fights at 185, and I could see him definitely going back up to 205 and contesting for the title again.
We have got Cannonier and Brunson on the card coming up, obviously, and that's middleweight too. So there's permutations of that one. But before that, Chris, the co-main event, it's the hometown hero. He lost his last fight in Houston, though, Chris. So it's going to be, he's going to want to win as he takes on. It's Derrick Lewis taking on Tai Tuivasa. Chris, 26-8, Derrick Lewis to 14-3, Tai Tuivasa. Do you know what, Chris, as well? What a quick turnaround for both fighters. They both fought in December. So they're like literally 2 months out, and they're back in there again at heavyweight. As I said, at the Toyota Center in Houston. And we have got a VT to show, Chris, in a bit, which we'll put up a brief VT with Tuivasa, which you wanted to use. But yeah,
I did.
How do we see this one? I'm going with Derrick Lewis with the experience edge, and I think the power. Tuivasa has got power himself, but I think I'm going with Derrick, Chris. I've got Derrick to win. He's going to avenge that loss at Houston the last time.
Well, he did fight Cyril Garn, didn't he?
Absolutely.
So, look where Cyril Garn went after that.
No shame in that.
No, not at all. I think this is going to be sort of with Derrick Lewis. It's the pressure. He talks about the pressure fighting Cyril Garn for the interim, didn't he, at Houston, and it got to him, and that's what he struggled mentally with. It was the pressure of being in his hometown. He also did say in that I think the post fight that he didn't want to fight in Houston again. So, I suppose the pull of your own family and your crowd and your people is sort of draw them back in. Regards to the fight. It's such a crazy one to think, because they both hit really hard, and they're both good at throwing kicks. You've seen Tai Tuivasa can throw knees. He's dangerous with that, and he can take a punch. I don't know if he can take a Derrick Lewis punch, because we've seen Stuart countless times where Derrick Lewis continue once and put your lights out. I think the very first episode we ever did on Big Fight Weekly was Derrick Lewis versus Blades, wasn't it? And Blades went in for that takedown, and he just caught him once, cleaned him out. Obviously, the 2 unnecessary shots after it were, as I say, unnecessary. But you've seen against Dorcas in his previous fight. Dorcas was supposed to be a power puncher, could take a punch. Lewis lit him up, put him to sleep. Tai Tuivasa, I think he got had a really good start in UFC. Lost a couple. I remember that one that stood out for me was a Junior Dos Santos fight, and this was Junior Dos Santos on his sort of coming down. The division, he wasn't as good as he was once, and Junior Dos Santos dispatched him. Didn't finish him, went to decision, but he controlled the fight. And I think after that, he lost a few more fights, and then he got released by UFC. But he got a quick turnaround, got himself back into the UFC. I don't even think he fought anywhere else. I think they just brought him back. Obviously, a fighter must have dropped out, and he got back into the fight. But this is going to be explosion, Stuart. I think they're both going to go hammer and tons, and this is going to be windmill.
It's a classic heavyweight tussle with the power, isn't it, Chris?
It is, and they both hit
Somebody's
hard.
going to sleep, and I think it's going to happen very early on as well. I feel like both guys are going to be going hammer and tongs, as you say. So, yeah. Also, Chris, Tai Tuivasa, 2-fight win streak, wins against Stefan Struve and Augustus Sakai most recently. So he's on a good little streak himself. But, yeah, I've got to go with the big man, with the Black Beast, Derrick Lewis. Just... he's a fan favourite as well. As we know.
He made interesting post-fight comments with whoever's got the microphone with him in the octagon as well. The whole, my balls are hot and stuff, taking his pants off. That's it. If you listen to him on the Joe Rogan podcast, he was, fantastic. I recommend people who are listening to us right now, want to be finished. Obviously, don't go anywhere yet, but go and listen to that, or you can watch it actually. But it's a very good sort of conversation between the pair of them. Quite a knowledgeable guy. But yeah, I can see why you would go with Derrick Lewis.
It's just, I think it's the guys, it's the talent he's been in with, especially in more recent times.
Experience-wise.
You're saying like Tuivasa against Dos Santos, he was on the way out, wasn't he? Not discrediting Dos Santos, he was fantastic in his day. But yeah, it's just the caliber of guys that Derrick's been in there with, time after time, and that really does help. But you never know. You never know, Chris.
No, not heavyweight.
There could be a shock. There could be a shock, but I'm going for Derrick Lewis. He's minus 165 at the moment, Chris. I was looking at the latest odds. Tuivasa plus 161. Very precise. That very precise. 161.
Gonna throw in Ramel's comment here.
Hope Lewis wins so that we won't see Tuivasa drinks in Lewis's cup.
Ruined it.
Chris, it's perfectly poised to get the VT. Thank you, Ramel. You've teed us up for the VT. Perfectly.
I'll throw Ty's interesting offer to Derrick Lewis.
After Derrick's last win, he threw his cup into the crowd, and apparently someone caught it to do a shoey.
Well, he can throw it to me when I win, and I'll do a copy out of his out of his ball guard. Then I'm keen.
Not for me. Not for me.
Very funny. I don't know how's Derrick Lewis taken to that. Has been any quotes or anything from him?
I think he called him a weirdo.
Right. Okay. So
And
it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too hostile, then, was it?
No, I don't think there's any hostilities between these two.
No,
not at all. Listen. I think if we go to my sort of prediction, I feel like Derrick Lewis is just it's the heavier puncher. What I'm trying to say is, I think a lot of people you've seen when he's connected with either punches, he's hit his left or his right. They're just too powerful, and I think he hits hard. I think he hits harder than most people in that division. I think Ngannou obviously stands above everyone when it comes to striking power, but I think you've got to put Derrick Lewis just below Ngannou when it comes to striking power in the whole of the heavyweight division. I just don't know if Tai Tuivasa is going to sort of be able to take more than one of Derrick Lewis. I think he could take one at least, maybe two, but I think if he connects more than say more than twice, I think Derrick Lewis will shut his lights out.
The wilting of Tai, Chris, maybe, possibly.
But it's the mentality of Derrick Lewis. Can he get over that hump from last fight he fought in Houston? Because obviously that's still going to play in his mind. No matter what he says, he'd be sitting there before he's about to go and make the walk. And that's still going to play in his mind. If he can be focused and, think, right, I'm going to get in the octagon and I'm just knock his fucking head off. And possibly.
The Houston crowd's always good. There's always a good atmosphere in Houston when they go there. I've always noticed, but yeah, with him being at the hometown guy,
it'll be loud. It'll be loud for Derrick Lewis.
That could really, really help us, as we say. Chris, we're moving on to the middle. No, we're not. Lewis Young. Hello, Lewis. Lewis, what are your thoughts on UFC 271? Have you got any predictions for us? What do you think's going to happen? It'd be nice to hear from you, mate. Good to see you on again. Are we moving on? We're moving on. We are moving on. Here we go. Title decider for Derek Brunson as he takes on heavy hitter Jared Cannonier. Chris, to be fair to Derek Brunson, or Blonde Brunson, you've quoted him as that as well.
Yeah.
Five fight win streak. He's been on a really good run in the last 2 years. Great technical approach as always from Brunson. And he's got good control of takedowns as well, Chris. I've got to be fair to the guy. Loves the mat. He likes a bit of chain wrestling as well, Chris. But Cannonier is a powerhouse in his own right too. Where do you think this one will go? Can Brunson carry on the upwards trajectory, make it 6? Or do you think Cannonier's got a chance in this one? Because he is favourite. The bookies have got him favourite slightly, Cannonier.
Well, Cannonier's favourite for the... right, okay. I haven't seen any of the bookies for it yet.
Very, very tight. It's very tight.
I don't think Derek Brunson's going to want to stand and trade with Cannonier, because I think Cannonier is very, very... He's also very experienced. Don't forget, Cannonier has come from light heavyweight to middleweight. And he's carried his power with him all the way down, and that's 3 divisions. That's incredible. To a guy who's 37 and managed to, go from over 200 pounds to 205 to 185. You've got to pull your hat off for that. He doesn't want to stand with Jared Cannonier. I know if you look at comparisons, yes, Whittaker controlled it, but Whittaker's an absolute elite when it comes to the striking game. But Jared Cannonier is also very powerful, very technical. He uses his leg kicks really, really well, Stuart, and he sets things up with his leg kicks, but also he can come in with his hooks, his overhands, and they're powerful. I've seen it in previous fights, Stuart. It can rattle people. I think if Derek Bronson can take this to the ground, I feel that he can control. If he can control Jared Cannonier on the ground, I think he'll win this fight. But can he? Because Cannonier's a powerhouse, and it's trying to get him down. You know.
It's a big one as well, Chris, isn't it? And I think I think Derek Brunson. I think he'll eke it out, but it's going to be close. It's going to be close, but as you say, title decider as well. So who's going to fall and who's going to rise up. That is the question. A lot of pressure, isn't it, Chris? Knowing that there's a title fight in the offing for both guys.
But I'm not sure how Jared Cannonier. I think he's sort of fallen into this sort of position with Derek Brunson. Because I don't think there's really anyone else around for Derek Brunson to fight because he's beaten pretty much everyone pretty much below him. The only people he's got above him now are Whittaker. Whittaker beat him. Obviously, Adesanya's already beaten him, so that's going to make it interesting if Brunson was to win this fight and he was to fight Izzy next. Obviously, it's another rematch for Izzy. It's one of them. Would that sell? Does that sell a fight to you? Brunson versus Adesanya 2. Does that get you up, or does that kind of thinking it's just one of them? It's going to happen, and we just sort of have to sort of get on with it.
It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's just who is no one can beat Adesanya. I'm still maintaining it. Is there anybody who can come through and stop him? And it's going to come to a point. It's going to come to a point with Adesanya, Chris. I think he'll beat everyone that he's needed to beat, and then I think it will be light heavyweight. I really do think, because what else is there for him to do?
Well, there is
change to middleweight.
There is Alex Pereira, who's the last person to KO him in kickboxing, Stuart. And I know he's only made his debut last year, and he wasn't exactly against anyone that's going to push him up the upper echelon. But that's an interesting fight. Maybe Izzy wants to see if he can get up the ladder a bit quick, and maybe wants to, get that one back. He might want to get that one back. From what I've seen with Alex Pereira, Stuart, though, he's still learning on the job. He's still probably a kickboxer, a very powerful kickboxer. That Stuart is Alex Pereira. His takedown defense, obviously, he's going to have to learn on the job because he knows you get up the rankings. The Tories, the Derek Brunsons are gonna, they're not going to stand with you. They're going to take you down. I know, obviously, Jack Madison, who fought Sean Strickland on the weekend. Very good fight, by the way. That's another guy. You know what I mean? There's plenty of guys. I think, obviously, that Izzy could fight. But it's one of them where you don't get invested like you are this weekend because Whittaker and Adesanya it's a great fight. I just don't know anyone else. Maybe Darren Till, if Darren Till can shake off his losing streak and his injuries he's getting currently. I think Darren Till and Izzy could be an interesting fight, but it's dependent on can Darren Till get up there again? Can he get his confidence back? Can he, get past all these injuries sort of blighted him, in his last couple of fights? It's one of them, but it's open, isn't it? As you say, open to interpretation, and it can go anywhere.
Absolutely. And just to go back to it again, fights are getting made in the UFC, and this is where boxing's getting left behind because we have delays. We have so many delays. I know there's injuries in the UFC, and sometimes have to rejig it, but it's all in house. The big fights get made, Chris. You can only tip your hat to Dana White and the team there because they do very well with putting the matches together. This is what does my head in with the boxing because we're getting fights delayed for years.
Yeah.
Boxing boards and promoters just can't, coagulate.
It must be hard for you as a boxing fan because obviously UFC, Bellator, ONE FC, PFL, they're all under one roof, aren't they? And they can put these guys together. Not always. They always it plans out. Just look at John Jones and Ngannou. How long we've waited for that to be placed together. But I'm hearing Steve Pace next for John Jones, Stuart. Not officially yet. But I feel like that's close. That's close.
That's got money written all over it. Absolutely. I look forward to that. Absolutely. Chris, anything on the undercard that you want to just scoot over before we move on to the boxing?
I know it's Roxanne Modafferi's final fight in the UFC, Stuart. I think in MMA in general. It's a 50th fight in her whole entire career, Stuart. How amazing is that? 50 fights. Okay, she's not amazing. She's not an elite. She's not world class, but she's hung in there.
Been around, since the Ultimate Fighter, you'd think how long the girl's been there. A brilliant, what a milestone for any fighter, Fantastic. No, good. I didn't know that. It's a good yeah.
So this is a retirement fight. So 50 fights. It's a nice little number to go off. Hopefully I can't remember who she's fighting now. I did have a list for me before, but it's just got out of my head. But she's retiring after this last fight now, and she's done. But hats off. I obviously invested to watch because we've seen her grow through the UFC as well when she fought in Japan and China and stuff like that. She's fought all over the world. So hats off to her.
Fantastic. And UFC 271 this Saturday in the US of A. Main card at 3 a.m. for us in the UK on Sunday, 1 a.m. for the prelims, Chris, and then obviously early prelims before that. So, fantastic card. And we implore you to watch it. It's going to be fantastic. And we look forward to going through the results next week and what has happened. But, huge card in Houston at the Toyota Center. And we're moving on to the boxing, Chris. We're going to have a bit of boxing.
We are. A bit of boxing now, mate.
And first and foremost of this, as you can see in the graphic there with the headline, 1 million live views for Sky Sports on Sky Sports Boxing, main event, etc. Since Matchroom have moved on as well, don't forget, it's Boxer with Ben Shalom and Wasserman Boxing co-promoting with the shows, the Sauerlands. 1 million live viewers on Sky for the boxing, which wasn't a box office card. So fantastic, considering Boxer have only just come on. I know Sky's a powerhouse, I get that, but what great numbers, especially in this day and age with everything, there's so much stuff out there, isn't there?
Listen, and I said to you this when we were talking in the private message a few days ago when you sent me the sort of the message to say they broke 1 million views. This just proves everything, doesn't it? Everything doesn't need to be on box office, does it? You don't need top tier fighters to be on a card. Just put a decent card together, and don't have to throw it on box office so people have to pay over the mill for it, and people will tune in and watch it. This should be a staple for everybody going forward. Everything doesn't need to be on box office.
Eubank Jr. was absolute class. He put him down three rounds in 4. So, it was 3 or 4 10-8 rounds, wasn't it? And he's not happy with Matthew Macklin's scorecard as Eubank Jr., Chris. He had them losing a lot of rounds there, which they were tight as it went on, but he just had a mountain to climb, Williams, because Eubank, he had all them 10-8 rounds early on. It was just emphatic, really. And then he's been moaning about Williams, saying he had him in headlocks and stuff like that, dirty tactics from Williams, probably because he knew he was losing, Chris. But as you can see there, Chris Eubank's comments. Yeah, so what did you think about the commentary on Saturday? I'm still scratching my head at Matthew Macklin's scorecard. I think Sky Sports Boxing needs to buy this joker a pair of glasses before he talks about boxing again, or maybe it's just jealousy binding. Well, Matthew Macklin's been out the sport for years. He's boxed for world titles as well. He was decent. He was a good European level boxer, and he got to world level. So it's his perception of the fight, isn't it, Chris? But I do think those scores later on in later rounds, he was wrong.
I've watched it before. I watched it before we came on, so I had obviously a bit more indication. Because when you showed me, because I haven't watched the fight yet, obviously I know that Eubank won, and it's like when I read your sort of the headline, dominated, and I saw the scorecard, man, doesn't look like he dominated. And I said that to you, but obviously I didn't read the sort of context next to it with Chris Eubank sort of saying stuff like, you need a pair of glasses. The guy obviously needs a pair of glasses. Those old NHS ones, the big thick lens ones, because you were truly right in what you wrote. He did dominate Williams, and Williams looked really good in the last fight against Andrade.
Against Andrade, he was brilliant. Considering he was behind, wasn't he, early on again? Sorry, jumping in.
No, it's fine. I think Eubank was class. I didn't like the sort of in the last probably 10, 20 seconds when he started to showboat and shuffle and dance. I know we've seen it over the years with Anderson Silvers and stuff like that, but you do get caught, by the way, because he did that one too many times. But I didn't enjoy that bit. That's a bit like, well, okay, just carry on.
What they said about Williams, even though he's been at middleweight, it was the weight cutting and then his stance, because he got hit, he got put down with jabs, Chris. But
yes,
he was leaning in. He was leaning in as they picked up on commentary, so it was like double the power hitting him. So that's why he got floored. But they said there was something with the weight cut for Williams this time round where it wasn't right. That was what they were alluding to, that he was a bit sluggish, and then obviously leaning in. And they were just jabs from Eubank, but there was enough power coming through. You know?
Yeah, and they're very quick as well, though. You see, is it because he dropped him 4 times, didn't he, throughout the sort of the 12 rounds? But you did see, he leaned in, and you're leaning in enough, and you look at it, you're forced against the fist. You know what I mean? You're never going to win, are you? But he didn't look great, but there were certain rounds I saw from the last fight we covered, and he looked good, and he wasn't lighting up Eubank, but he was getting his points on the board, wasn't he? Using his jabs. But I thought Eubank was just too quick, Stuart. His head movement, and he was in and out. He took the shots he needed to take, but he unloaded a bit more than what Liam Williams could do to him.
Williams will make it a tussle, the way he is by design. It can be a bit ugly and a bit, it's workmanlike, isn't it? But yeah, as you say, class. It was class prevailing, wasn't it? And I think the longer he's with Roy Jones, he's looking at world title contention, isn't he? But he's not getting any younger now. So as we've said, last year Eubank Jr. really needs to. But there's all sorts of links for fights now. If you want to say about that, Andrade's an obvious one. Golovkin at the weight, they're both at middleweight, right? Which is fine. Conor Ben, because they're all going back to the 90s with their
Eubank versus Ben, right? Yeah, okay.
Conor Ben's 2 weights down at the moment. He's welterweight. He's fighting at 147, so he's got to go up to 160. Right, but obviously his name's going to get courted, but it's too soon, isn't it? Because he's got a lot of unfinished business at welterweight where he's been fantastic. Billy Joe Saunders for a rematch, but obviously Billy Joe's been up at super middle. Eubank came down as well. So his name, Kell Brook's name, has been put in the hat as well, but he hasn't.
He's got to fight.
Yet.
Yeah, he's got to have your con first.
There's 5 or 6 names. It's got to be for me. It's got to be Golovkin, or Andrade, someone at the weight for him.
Okay, all right. One of them, Stuart. Can he get past an Andrade, or can he get past the Golovkin?
I think Andrade's very good defensively. Slick. He can take a bit of pressure, as we've seen. I don't think he beats him, and I still think Golovkin, as old as he's getting, and he's not been fighting as frequently, I still think he's got class. He's got the class, Golovkin. I think he struggles. But Roy Jones might have something. But dropped out a little bit there. I think I dropped out a little bit. I just think not writing him off, but it's now or never, isn't it? But they're huge fights. I don't want to write him off. I want him to do well. He's our UK fighter, isn't he? But I think it's a hell of a step up. But then you've got the domestic links with the lads we've spoken about before, which they draw, but it means people are having to go up or down into different weights. It doesn't necessarily work at the moment. And who drops down if it's Conor Ben eventually? Are they going to meet at super welterweight? Is he going to say, right, we'll fight at 154? I mean, Eubank was at 168 years ago, Chris.
It's a lot to ask. It's a lot to ask for Conor Ben and Eubank Jr. to sort of meet, isn't it? They'd have to meet in the middle, make it as fair as possible, really. But if Eubank Jr. and Conor Ben, they're on the up trajectory, aren't they, in their divisions? Let them fight for their titles, and let's see what happens. In the future, they could meet. Obviously, it's not leave it too late, but they could meet eventually.
Absolutely, yeah. Fantastic performance from Eubank Jr., especially in the earlier rounds. Absolute dominant. Putting down 3 times in 4 rounds. Incredible. Williams was just a little bit off, and I think class, as you said, did prevail, didn't it? But be interesting to see where Liam Williams goes off the back of this. He's still a decent fighter. There's no question of that. But back to the drawing board for him. And moving on, Chris, we've got Clarissa Shields, who's got 3 of 4 of the women's middleweight titles, and she had a tune-up against Emma Kozin. And Chris, our very own Savannah Marshall, who's got the other title at middleweight, was ringside. But a classy performance. Kozin just not with it at all. I'm surprised Clarissa Shields didn't stop her. But maybe that just showed you how strong Emma Kozin was, because she couldn't stop her. It did look earlier on like it was going to be a stoppage for Clarissa. But fantastic heart from Kozin, though. The Slovenian. But just too good. Too good, Shields.
Far too good, Stuart. The pace that Clarissa Shields sort of sets when she's striking, and the combinations she can throw from top to from the body to your head, incredible. If she had a bit more power, I think she'd be very, very scary. But she's 24, isn't she, or something along those lines? I mean, you can still learn stuff. I suppose you can't learn power. You either have power or you don't have power. Is one of them. But Stuart, she looked absolutely fantastic. I haven't watched her in PFL, so I can't really give you
No,
my opinion what she's like in MMA. But as a
flirting
boxer,
with the MMA, but yeah. Which hey,
brilliant.
that's testament to her, isn't it? Because she's at such a top level in the boxing. For her to go and have a go at MMA, it's going to be tough for her. She's a two-time Olympic gold medalist in the boxing. But yeah, more power to her. But obviously, waiting in the wings is Savannah Marshall, who fights on March the 12th. So they both have these fights because we knew they were going to have a fight each before meeting one another, which hopefully is going to be in the summer. But Savannah was at ringside, Chris.
You want me to...
You put the visual up. Yeah, that'd be... Yeah, give us a bit of substance. Give us a bit of substance.
Well, there you go. That's what she feels about the fight.
I think she was waiting for a stoppage, Chris, to be honest with you. I think that was her retort to Clarissa, as if to say, well, I'd be stopping it. And Savannah, I do think, carries more power than Clarissa, which is going to be problematic for her. Fury said he'd rather get in the ring with Savannah Marshall a few months ago when we played that clip.
Yeah.
So he thinks very high of it. She's fantastic. Obviously his uncle's training her. So yeah, but this is what we want. The fight, which hopefully will be in the summer, these two, and a bit of beef. There's a bit of a war of words. Like Savannah's normally very, meek and mild, but yeah, she gave her best.
Sell a fight, haven't you?
She gave her best, like verbally with her, and a few expletives as well in there. But we look forward to that in the summer. There's animosity there now. Which will sell it. But
you've also got Katie Taylor versus Serrano, haven't you, as well, coming up. Yes. Jake Paul. Yeah, he's everywhere again. Yeah,
promoting. I can understand. He did speak quite well when I've seen him when they're promoting that fight, Chris. As much as I don't agree with him, in ring and all the rest of it, he talked well about that fight. To be fair to the guy, as much as we downplay him and give him a lot of shit,
more so you than me. I can only give him shit when he fights someone who's actually a fighter. You said to me comments. You said MMA fighters are harder to box than boxers. I don't get that comment, to be honest with you, because MMA fighters fight and striking is different to boxing striking. You know what I mean? Yes, MMA fighters are awkward. All boxers have said who've had sessions with MMA fighters in boxing said they're awkward, but they're not very good. He chats at his arse. I don't know who he's going to fight next year, but I'm sure at some point when we're live, we'll pull that one out. And Brett Thomas, who's not with us at the moment,
this is perfect for him. He should be in here now, getting his point across about it. He'd have a point of view, give it a different spin totally. But yeah, absolutely. Are we moving on to Tyson Fury, Chris?
We are.
Comments that have only just come out today, so they're hot off the press. Chris, I think fire up the VT first, and then we'll come out at the back end of it.
No problem.
Back, grinding, all the time grinding, never stop. I'm still looking for this little sucker, Dylan White. Where are you, coward? White feathers? Come on, fight me. Talked about a lot, didn't he? He won't fight this, he won't fight that. Who's a coward now, coward? Who's a shithouse now? You useless Dazn.
I don't know, it's the job to do. Good looking guy, clean shaven, a nice hairdo.
I'm white! You getting it, you bum! Bum's getting knocked out again! I'll buy you the king this time, not my old man 45. Getting it, bum.
He has a great time, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He gets the job done though as well, doesn't he? But he has the comedy side as well, which we love him for. But yeah, also Chris, the split for the purse, because obviously Matchroom went in at 30 odd million. Mm-hmm. But obviously Frank Warren, who has got Bob Arum on his side as well, bankrolling, they came in at 40 odd million. So yeah, the 80-20 split that we've talked about, Dylan White's still going to come out with 8 million. It was a high purse bid, wasn't it? But I still think it's a little bit under I think they could have maybe given him another 10%, but Fury holds the cards, doesn't he? So that's it.
Yeah, and I don't think he really wants this fight anyway. Does he really? I don't think. I don't mean like he doesn't want to fight him. I just don't think he's up for it per se. I think he wants a bigger name, doesn't he? He wants the Usyk, doesn't he? He wants, I would say, Anthony Joshua, but no, I think he wants one of them too. And I don't think he's up for this as person. I don't know. I don't think Dillian White, and as much as I like Dillian White, I don't think he's got much to offer in the fight against Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury's seen it all, hasn't he? He's fought these explosive power punches. You know, just beat probably the most powerful puncher in boxing in Deontay Wilder, hasn't he? So I don't know. I can see why the money's not great, because I don't think Dillian White. Well, he's not really selling a fight at the moment, is he?
It's 8 million though.
Oh no, I wouldn't mind 8 million.
When's he going to get 8 million against Joshua possibly? So it's still a big, considering it's only 20%. It's still big chunk of change, isn't it? But yeah, it's. We look forward to that one, because hopefully it's going to be in April, but it might be a bit later. But obviously, so we look forward to that. And White deserves it. White deserves it.
I don't disagree with you there. I do agree.
It's a different level altogether. We know that. Yeah, he's waited for this. He's been been interim for so long, and he deserves it. He absolutely does. So yeah, it'd be a good domestic one, that. And I just wanted to put that one in with his comments, because that video's only come out today, hasn't it? So it's very current with Mr. Fury. And we look forward to that and covering it in a bit more detail as we lead into the fight in the coming months.
Before you jump to that, would you say this fight's going to be as close as possible to Usyk and Joshua too? Then, like they fight in there like maybe a month or two after.
It probably will be. Yeah,
so we could get a good turnaround then for like late in the year.
You can get you could then get into like September, where the weather's still all right, where they could do Wembley for the for the winners. And I hope it's in the UK. Because they've all gone abroad, haven't they? Fury.
Money's there though, isn't it? The money's up.
Yeah,
COVID doesn't help. Though.
We need it. We need the big fights over here as well. Wembley's still iconic, isn't it? So
yeah,
that'd be amazing. But yeah, it's Usyk and Joshua as well. That won't be far away, I'm sure. And then moving on, we've got Danny Jacobs, who's been with Matchroom for some time. When Eddie was first starting to promote in the USA, branching out the UK, Danny Jacobs has been, on the books of Matchroom for a while. And this fight is taking place at the Alexandra Palace in London, where we have the World Darts Championship. Chris, they do all sorts of stuff there, don't they? So it's a Matchroom. Yeah. It's a Matchroom hotbed, this venue. Danny Jacobs coming in, to enemy waters here in the UK to take on Brit John Ryder at super middleweight. Notably, Danny Jacobs is having to go up to super middle, Chris. So it's a big test for him. And John Ryder, who fought Callum Smith in 2019, a lot of people felt John Ryder had beaten Callum Smith in that world title fight, but he didn't get the nod. But a lot of the professionals and ex-pros, felt John Ryder won that fight. Huge fight, this one in London. Both on a 2-fight win streak as well, Chris, going into this. Danny Jacobs, some people are saying he's over the hill. It might be too much for him. But I think, he's been in with Golovkin. He's been in with Canelo. Unanimous decision victories for them two against him, where, look who Golovkin and Canelo have stopped in fight.
Big names.
So Danny Jacobs, I've still got him. I think, he's having to go up the weight, but I think he's got a lot more, big fight experience. And I think he will beat John Ryder. But there's been split opinion on who will be the victor there. And John Ryder's been an interim world champion as well at super middle. So it's perfectly poised.
Yeah, you sent me a clip of Danny Jacobs' top 5 finishes. It's scary dude, isn't he? Obviously, most of them you sent me quite earlier on, aren't they? So
yeah.
But he looks good. Be interesting, isn't it? Where do they both go if either of them win now?
I've been reading it would be Canelo. But obviously we've heard about Canelo going up to light heavy, haven't we, as well?
Yeah.
But it could very well be Canelo for the winner, which would make a lot of sense. That's a huge thing for John Ryder. And obviously Danny Jacobs has already fought him at middleweight. So, it's perfectly poised. Big stakes for the winner, Chris.
Well, that'd be interesting. You say like obviously Canelo being next, but obviously Canelo's got his heart set on, going up to like heavyweight. So would they have to wait until he's done what he wants to do, or would they?
This might get the go ahead, but then obviously Makabu's just won at light heavy, hasn't he? Who they're looking to match Canelo with. So yeah, it could be on the back burner. The winner of this. We'll be waiting to see for clarification, Chris. I think where they're going to go, who's going to be getting who. But Danny Jacobs, I think I've got him winning it. He's 8-11 UK odds. John Ryder 6-4, and a draw at 20-1. Not that we see many draws.
It's not bad though.
20-1 on the draw. And like Danny Jacobs said, it doesn't bother him that he's coming into London. All but 3 of his fights now, including this one, he's fought in Puerto Rico, Canada, and obviously first time in the UK. All the other fights have been in America. But like he said, his previous fight a couple of years ago, there was no fans in. So he can adapt to any situation. It's not bothering him that, John Ryder's going to have a home support.
The charismatic sort of people, it doesn't bother them, do they? They sort of they ride with this sort of the boos and the jeers, don't they? Amps them up a bit more. But as you say, like John Ryder, if he's looking ahead, thinking if I can get through Danny Jacobs, I've got Canelo next. What a massive incentive for, would you say, a relatively unknown sort of Brit? Really, comparison to others.
Unless if you're really into like European boxing, obviously he's fought for a world title against Callum Smith. He's had fights himself, but yeah, it's not maybe on a world level. People aren't going to know him. Danny Jacobs is well known. Obviously, Eddie Hearn now, his presence in America is huge. But this guy, I think he was the first guy he had under the Matchroom umbrella, Danny Jacobs. Do you know what I mean? So it was cool to see Matchroom going into the USA. Because we were so heavy on domestic boxing, weren't we, with Matchroom on Sky?
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it, Chris. And it is split in opinion, especially against the pros. I've been reading a lot. Like a lot of people are going for John Ryder because he's natural at the weight. But
right,
I think the veteran status of Danny and who he's fought, I know lower weight. I've got Danny Jacobs, Chris. That's what I'm going with.
As soon as I've not watched these guys, and obviously I'll watch it on the weekend, and obviously we can have a good chat after, the aftermath next week. I'll go with the Brit just to be. We've got one side for one side for the other, and it make it a bit more. And it's Brit, isn't it? Got to follow our Brits either way.
He's a very good fighter. He is a very good fighter. He's done well. It's but yeah, we're both.
We don't normally do it. We don't normally do it.
No, it's good though. It's good. So yeah, Saturday night for this one on Dazn, Matchroom Boxing, obviously Eddie Hearn, and we look forward to that, Chris. Anything closing out, Chris?
More so to say sorry for last week, isn't it? Obviously we missed last week. If anyone noticed, they might have not noticed. But obviously the whole internet situation. So I want to apologise to people that do watch us week in, week out, and that sorry that we didn't do an episode last week. We had the time window, obviously, with Stuart with his work, but obviously my internet, I was moving providers, and they decided to. I don't know what they decided to do. Stuart did not switch a switch. I don't know.
It's ridiculous these days, mate. How they can't just get it switched on straight away. It's ridiculous.
And do you know they billed me £8 on the 31st, even though I didn't even have it switched on.
I'm sure you've gone against that one and said, hold on a minute.
Of course I have. Of course I have.
But yeah, we're back this week though, and it's just one of them things. Yeah. It was a logistical thing, wasn't it? But yeah, Chris, just like going back over everything. UFC 271, what a card that has got the potential to be. It's just nice to be back with it, the boxing, the MMA. Now it's going to be full on, isn't it, for the rest of the year?
Massive cards coming up on my side, isn't there? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Massive cards.
Absolutely.
We've bought banger after banger.
But I'm still going with Covington and Masvidal. There's no belt on the line out of the four numbered events coming up. But it's the beef, it's the backstory. That is, I will be getting up for that. That is a fight,
It'll sell itself. It'll absolutely sell itself.
But I think we are leading with, we do feel Covington, because he's been very active and he's been very good, hasn't he?
Wait, we haven't seen Masvidal since Usman KO'd him, I think, was it May or June last year? It was a bad knockout. So, he's not going to jump straight back in. It's a big fight for Masvidal against Covington, because Covington, you could argue maybe beat Usman or was close to beat Usman than anybody else has ever done. The first fight was amazing anyway. I think Covington is just going to be too much. I don't think he's going to fart around with the striking per se. I think he will, be the bigger egotistical sort of guy he is, and he probably stand up with him for a bit, but I think he's going to take him down, and it'll blanket Masvidal. Masvidal's not been great when he's been taken down. You saw it in the first Usman fight, and Usman had a broken nose in that fight, didn't he? I don't know why that makes any difference to the fight, but you saw when Usman took Masvidal down, Masvidal got up a few times, but after a while, when you've got a good wrestler taking you up, bringing you down, taking you up, bringing you down, it's going to wear on you. And I think no one does it any better than Usman, other than Covington, and then obviously Khamzat Chimaev as well, who's a very, very good grappler. He's on the up.
He's on the
we'll
periphery.
see. I think
he's on the periphery, that man. He's on the periphery. There's a lot of attention, a lot of focus on him, where he could be. Yeah, Chimaev is 100%. It's good. It's good that he's coming through. It's
a test.
Fantastic.
It's a test.
It's fantastic, and it really does get you thinking what will happen, which is great. This
that's what we need.
This is what we want. You want questions, don't you? And you want those questions answered inside the octagon.
I did see a picture on Instagram yesterday. I was having my brew at I don't know, it must have been 5:30 in the morning, before I go to work, and it was obviously Usman was having his surgery on. I think it must have been something to do with his ligaments in his hand, and there's actually the picture as well, which was not something you want to see at 5:30 in the morning.
I've seen the photo. Yeah, it wasn't very nice. But I couldn't see a difference in the second photo after.
No, I didn't. I didn't
It's
know.
like,
We're not clued up, are we?
Oh my days! What these guys can do is these surgeons, unreal.
And I think they said Leon Edwards and him. Obviously, that is official. That is happening. Edwards is getting his title shot. They say, I think it was International Fight Week, which is usually July time.
Yeah.
Which I think is enough time for
Huge
Usman to feel.
What great for Leon Edwards.
Yeah, it's a difficult fight though.
It is. But hey, he's in there. He's got the title fight. We've been clamoring for him for a long time, haven't we, Chris?
Yeah, COVID injuries. I think they've kept him out for such a long time. So he's had a fight in a bit, because he wouldn't call his first fight back against. His name's now eluded me. When he poked him in the eye. And it's just gone out my head, gone. But obviously he came back. That fight lasted.
Was it Bilal Muhammad?
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
But he's had a fight and a half, hasn't he? Since he's come back since COVID, all hit. So hopefully he can put a good show on. I can't see him beating Usman.
No,
I'd love to see it, but I can't.
Oh my days! It's a UK fighter, isn't it? It's great. It's great to see him getting the title shot. But yeah, it's just it's gonna be massive. Big, it's just going to be huge, isn't it, for him?
For UK scene, yeah. And this is, you watch the first fight. Watch the first fight back. It was very, very good. But it's just Usman again. Usman wasn't his striking sort of person he is now in that first fight, but it's his wrestling, it's grappling and the power takedowns. And once he's got you down, unless you are very good, you're not getting back up. That's unfortunate, but I'm sure Leon Edwards will watch that back, and then his coaches.
And if he needs to, his striking, which has just gone into the next level, hasn't it, as well? Alongside everything else.
I know that makes him more scary.
Yeah, and Leon Edwards will have a go only on the feet. There's no two ways about it. But my days, I can't wait for that, Chris. So yeah, we look forward to that. And anything else before we go?
Well, actually, Stu, I was on a show on Sunday. Another
show.
Oh,
yes, go on.
Besides Big Fight Weekly.
You did very well. Very well.
It's called the Unholy Trinity Everton podcast. Fantastic guys. Never met them before. Spoke to them on Twitter. They got me on Sunday. The podcast is out, so you can go on Spotify, go Unholy Trinity Everton podcast. It's the latest episode, and just go have a listen if you like your football and want to see me actually sounds positive about Everton, because it didn't last Tuesday, believe me.
I think if they'd have interviewed on Tuesday, mate, I think it would have been a different thing altogether. But we win. we weren't mystified by Saturday, where we knew full well that it could, there could be problems in the next game. It was great winning, but then, we weren't jumping the gun, as it were we?
No, you just wanted him to sort of move on with the confidence and go into the next game, and because it was a big game, wasn't it, against Newcastle? But as usual, we did an Everton and blew it. So this game on Saturday is another big game.
The only thing I will say, watching Leeds last night and watching Leeds on highlights for the most part, they are as bad as us at the back, but they are quite good going forward. But yeah, they're not great at the back. As we're no good either. I mean, we got injuries left, right, and centre. But watching them last night, very good going forward, which but they're as hopeless as us. So there might be a few goals. There might be a few goals on there.
Oh, I think most definitely be a few goals. But we're under the lights of Goodison, aren't we?
Yeah.
Hopefully, people can get positive, get behind the team, get it rocking. And we've seen countless times over the years when top places rocking, we can get through teams and they wilter. And we excel in that. So I think we need to go against Leeds on the weekend and just have a bit more oomph about us. Forget about Tuesday. That's finished. That's gone. Pick the right team as well. Lampard, don't pick anyone like Holgate. But I'm supposed to have to, aren't you? Because bloody Mina's injured. But everyone just stick together, isn't it? We need to stay positive. There's no point in getting them on the backs now. We just need to win games.
It's imperative at home. They're going to have to pick the results up at home. Because I think they're going to struggle. We're going to struggle away, aren't we? But yeah, fingers crossed for Saturday, Chris. We can get a W, get a win.
Get a win, watch some good fights, and then that'd be great.
It's the old faithful 6-pointer, isn't it?
Well,
That's what it is. That's what it is, because it's very tight down there at the bottom. So yeah, we look forward to that. And no Stu's Wrestling podcast till next week. Episode coming out, which will be with Oscar, formerly of Men on a Mission, who's with Mo and Mabel. So got that. But I'm also going to Cheltenham for World Pro Wrestling. We've got Tajiri on the card. My mate Franco Varga is over from America. He's on a 3-week tour at the moment, wrestling for different promotions. Jody Fleisch, Chris, who we remember very well in the early 2000s, coming through. The card very, very stacked. I'm missing people out. Hernandez, TNA, he's been an impact all over. High caliber. A lot of pressure done in the headset for that one. But yeah.
You have to say you're on the headset for that one.
We look forward to that 600-seater venue as well. So it's a big venue.
Try and get a clip for that when you do it, so we can throw the clip.
I will pass that with Matt if I can just do a little live at the venue. I'm sure I can. And Mike Angus on ring announcing duties as well. So I'm down there with
Big Mike. Yeah.
4 hours there, 4 hours back on the train from here.
Oh, you have to get a few lagers down your after it, won't you? Make the train ride a bit longer.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's been an enjoyable episode again, Chris. There are lots going on this weekend, lots of fights. We can't wait. And we will see you next week for episode 46, Chris.
Yes, and also
Big Fight Weekly. Sorry?
Yeah, and also, if you want to join us, our socials are in the description below. Everything's there. So if you want more content, just jump on our links, and plenty for you to dive into. And yeah, let's do it. I'll see you next week, mate.
46.